So I went to Germany.
The place of my birth.
How can you fight disinformation and talk about fighting disinformation if there is this massive bit of disinformation staring you right in the face in the center of Berlin?
Guess what? Reality in Ukraine is that Russia will bomb anything. It will pretend it's a military target, but it most of the time isn't.
Get yourself a combat medic friend who's gonna get you a pink tourniquet with hearts so that you can die in style.
It is still your job to treat him like a human being. And I looked at him and I repeated what he had said in Ukrainian. I said, what is wrong with you for saying this to this person?
But dude, Norway and Denmark.
I know.
At this point, there is also Norway and Denmark.
I know.
There are Russian UAVs in Norway and Denmark's airspace.
I feel like we live in a constant state of WTF, to be honest. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. Let me let our audience know what happened. So we were absent for a short period of time because I was in Germany, we're going to talk about it today. And Rima was, we can't talk about it today.
On rotation. Doing military things.
Yeah. And so I had horrible internet and that didn't work. And also our wonderful, beautiful, amazing editor / director, not producer, Tanya, was on vacation.
I was literally living vicariously through her beautiful vacation. I was like, oh my God, the pictures are amazing. I was like, this is great.
It did look very peaceful. Mm-hmm. Insert images of Tanya on vacation. Putting Tanya on the spot. So I went to Germany.
The place of my birth.
Oh.
I was born in Berlin.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I was born in Berlin.
Yeah, amazing.
We won't talk about when, but I was born in Berlin.
I went to Berlin and two very big things for me happened in Berlin. One, there is a viewer from this podcast, and I'm not going to, even though they gave me the permission to talk about them, I'm not going to name them because that I don't know. But they are a trans American person with disabilities, and they are a first American refugee seeking political asylum in Germany. And they're currently at a refugee center in Germany because when they came to look for political asylum as an American, Germans said, welcome, you're safe now. The US is horrible. So American citizens are now getting their asylum cases processed in Europe.
It's a sign of the times that I don't like to acknowledge.
No, it's crazy.
It's not just that. People are getting all kinds of problems for speaking their mind. While I agree that freedom of speech is not without consequences, in some ways I think it's going a little too far.
Well, no, but there is a difference between like suppressing freedom of speech by like your government and consequences for like shitty things you say, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Your beliefs that are arbitrary, that are not bad, they're just arbitrary based on your political party, they should not be persecuted.
Agreed.
But yeah, there is a full-on, I mean, it's not safe for trans people in America. And actually, I was originally supposed to have an interview with this viewer, and I know them through Masha because Masha has talked to them many, many times. And the only reason I say them is because like I don't want to like identify them or give
understood.
Any, like, you know,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Protecting, the people is always really important.
And even though again, like I have full permission, but still, I don't, So originally, I wanted to interview them because I think it's very important to tell their story and to write an article about it. And I'm still going to likely do that, and I'm still going to try and write an article for like the Telegraph or, well, I would say WAPO, but I don't think America would publish it, provided it's an American refugee in Germany.
Fair.
Yeah. So some like big newspaper, maybe Deutsche Welle or like,
Deutsche
or
Welle is
Le
a great
Monde
spot,
or something.
actually. Yeah, Deutsche Welle is a great spot, actually.
So there is that. But, we ended up meeting and we ended up spending a really great day together, kind of like talking about literally everything. Mm-hmm. They're such a cool person.
That's nice.
Also, they have curly hair, and there were no products, obviously, that are like good for curly hair at the refugee center. And there was like some some like bad shop nearby, so we went like
some bad.
Well, yeah, so we went shampoo shopping and it was fun because we found good shampoo, and then I saw confirmation on their Instagram story that they did try the shampoo and the shampoo is indeed good for their curly hair.
That's good.
So I'm like, and we actually have a lot in common. And it was like, I'm sorry for interrupting, but it's like, I don't know how to like put a hand on this experience, because it's like, we ended up just like spending the whole day together like friends and like kind of running around Berlin and figuring things out. And there were like lots of sidewalks that are super not accessible for a wheelchair because cobblestones.
Yeah.
And you know, they do this thing where there's going to be like partially like a little block of like asphalt, right? Or like concrete. And then around it is cobblestones. And then like sometimes in the middle of it is cobblestones. And those cobblestones are not
conducive for wheelchairs.
Also not flat. They're like, we were kind of parkouring it through Berlin, you know.
Nice.
And we're trying to find sidewalks that didn't have that. But then we found bicycle lanes.
Oh yeah. Very useful.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really good for like, especially when people just like need a friend. It's good to just like be that for people, you know, or at least like the safety net or safe space. It's a super important thing nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I think honestly, what's going on right now is the best case scenario, because Germans are like, it's likely that their asylum is going to get approved, because Germans are like, oh, you need health insurance. We're going to like speed track you through health insurance. You know, like it's very evident that they're taking it very seriously. And it's kind of also crazy. And also the biggest like irony in this situation is that this person is Jewish.
Oh.
And their parents or grandparents or like ancestors fled Eastern Europe to Brazil because of the persecution of Nazi Germany and pogroms. And then from Brazil to the United States. And now they're fleeing the United States to Germany.
So,
as a Jewish person.
Life is weird.
Yeah.
Ironies are everywhere.
We were also joking about the fact that Berlin has no good bagels. And some Americans come to Berlin and they're like, there are no good bagels in Berlin. I wonder why. And I'm like, because you need massive concentrations of Jewish people for good bagels. And that is not Germany. Yeah.
I should direct them to some bakeries in Berlin that they'll get close, but it won't be like... I'll send them to you. They won't be like completely like a bagel, but it'll be close.
Really? You have some bakeries in Berlin that make bagels?
Not like bagels, but like something similar. It's round and it's covered in sesame seeds, but it's close. It's close.
Okay. I mean, my friend ordered like a bagel breakfast at some like random cafe that we went for breakfast to. And like it was a New York City bagel. Okay. It was not.
There's got to be something, because if we can find like something close like we find in Ukraine, like I'm telling you, that's got to be in Germany somewhere. Somebody's making bagels. I know. And trust me, I completely understand, as a person who has a strange love for lox bagels. Like, I get it.
No, it was a lox bagel, right? It did not have capers. So like what people outside of the US don't put on a New York bagel is capers, and it's like, honey bunny sweetheart. It needs capers.
Oh, I will refuse to eat it if there are no capers.
Yeah, capers make it everything better.
Totally. I've also mailed bagels in this country before, just, you know, because somebody needed them when I was still living in, you know, Kyiv. And they were like, we do not have bagels on our side of Ukraine. Can you please send them? And I was like, yeah, sure, in the mail.
See, I would assume Lviv has really good bagels because there are lots of Jewish people. And like there is a street called the Old Jewish Street in the very center, and there's like big Jewish history there. No bagels.
I was gonna say, I can't recall the last time I have seen anything bagel related in
also
Lviv.
Odessa should have bagels, and I don't think that's a thing either.
I've only been to Odessa one time, and I do not remember seeing bagels.
Yeah. Anyways, so my unbagelsome adventure in Germany. Basically, I went to this program for fighting disinformation, and I went to Lithuania before in the spring. So if you've watched this podcast in the spring, you'll know. But this was part 2. And at some point at the end of this, so like it's we have this like a Chatham House rules where we can't really talk about who said what, but we can talk about what was discussed, right? So I was at a German government building. I can't say which part of the German government.
Right.
Because that's a thing.
Of course.
But it would be much funnier if I could. So on our last day, I went to this German government building, and they have these Harry Potter like elevators. You know, like the ones that they had in the Ministry of Magic that just like continuously run, like those like 2 people elevators. They're very small and they're like basically in the wall, and you have to like jump up on them because they just don't stop. Okay, it was a crazy experience, but nonetheless. So this was a very sort of like termless week for me, and I was like going through something personal, and that something personal was kind of like coming to an explode, I guess, like
coming to a head.
Yeah. And I just sort of like so basically we're in this German government building, and we're 15 of us, like influencers who talk about politics online, who are like invited to like participate, right? Or like we're selected, whatever. And so we're supposed to talk to these like lawmakers to kind of like understand how they combat misinformation and all of this stuff, right? And so we're like sitting at this table. It's like 4 German politicians and like 2 of our program people that created the program. One of the program people that created the program is Australian, and the other one is German. So that's important for later. And 4 German parliamentarians. And they're giving us a presentation on how they combat disinformation. Now, one of the people in our group is this Lithuanian girl, and she is a historian, and she works at a museum. And she went to a museum in Berlin, and it's a history museum, specifically World War II history museum. And they have a pact or a document or an agreement signed with Russia post-World War II that they can only present World War II history from Russia's point of view. And it's a big museum, and kids go on excursions to this museum on field trips, like as part of the program.
That makes me irrationally
Not like
angry.
All children, but a lot of them do, right? And she, like this girl, she was talking to like the staff of the museum because she works at a museum, right? And she went with her job. And so you walk in, and the huge sign for World War II is 1941. So they're saying that World War II started in 1941, the same propaganda that Russia is pushing, right? And there are a lot of like really crappy things in that museum that are basically just Russian propaganda. And everyone knows it, but there is this like agreement with Russia, and it's like a legal agreement, and they can't go over it, which I'm like, shut the museum down. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't. Okay.
So anyways, and she was like really mad at it. So she brought it up as like, how can you fight disinformation and talk about fighting disinformation if there is this massive bit of disinformation staring you right in the face in the center of Berlin?
Absolutely.
And they kind of got like very queasy about it, right? And it got like to be a heated discussion and like whatever. And so our program director decided to like diffuse the situation. And she was like, well, you know, like for us Germans, first of all, we don't know the full situation. We haven't looked up this museum. These are all assumptions. And this Lithuanian girl is like, it's not assumptions. I'm literally like, I work in a museum. I'm a historian. I'm telling you this is what's happening. So anyways, they were like trying to whatever. And she's like, also for us Germans, it's a very touchy subject because we Germans killed a lot of Russians during World War II.
Oh my God.
At which point I interject and I'm like, no, this is propaganda. Right?
Yeah.
And you might not understand it because you were likely taught to think so. But you killed a lot of Soviet citizens.
Yeah.
The majority of the losses in World War II were Ukrainians and Belarusians, mostly Ukrainians. And you stampeded through Ukraine before you got to Leningrad. So Russians, actually, not that many casualties in World War II. It's mostly Ukrainians. Ukrainians were sent to the forefront. Ukrainians, like you had to go through the entirety of Ukraine to get to Russia. And we were killed both by the Soviets and the Germans. So anyways, the program director was like, well, she was trying to diffuse the situation, right? So she was like, I mean, that's your perspective. And I'm like, that's not perspective, that's facts. So I was getting like really heated, but then I understood that this conversation is not going anywhere and she's just trying to diffuse it. So she's going to, and she also like has this German guilt, right? So I stopped talking. About 30 seconds later, I receive a text message that sends my body into an emotional shock. And I get overwhelmed and I start crying. So I get up and I run out of the room and go to the bathroom. First of all, the program director is terrified because she thinks, literally everyone in that room, including the other influencers that know me, thought that I burst out crying because of their mishandling of Russian propaganda and because of how like kind of like unaware they were about it and how badly they handled the situation.
No.
So everyone was sitting there with their faces numb and pale.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one knew what to do.
Yeah.
I came back from the bathroom and we all were already leaving.
Nice.
Because, I mean, the presentation was kind of over about disinformation and stuff. And so I excused myself and I said I would take like a cab back to the hotel where we were supposed to have like some stuff in the conference room. But I needed to like go walk around and sit on a bench and like bawl my eyes out crying because like that's just my normal reaction to like an overwhelming emotion, right? And they all went to the hotel, to the conference room where we were supposed to have a debate on like some disinformation subjects to kind of like find weaknesses in like in how to better like defend it. And they ended up having a round table where the program directors apologized. They looked up the museum. They also looked up losses in World War II.
Oh, dear God.
And they ended up saying they will do better. And they were all talking about this whole thing. And my poor friend who was there with me, she was like, hey guys, while this is amazing and I'm so happy we're doing this, she's not crying because of this. She has some personal stuff going on, so like
it has nothing to do with you, just so you know.
Yeah, like I actually found a text message from like one of the girls from Czechia, and she was like, hey, I'm so sorry, this was handled so badly, and she like sent me a hug and everything, and I saw it like 2 days later because it's on WhatsApp and I don't use it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't see this, but like thank you, that's so kind, but it has nothing to do with what happened there. I was having like a personal situation. And apparently while I was like sitting in my hotel room like packing my bags and like processing my life, they were talking about how badly this was handled and how they were wrong, and they were talking about how they can improve and like what would be more useful and stuff. And I mean, win-win.
I was gonna say, I see no bad things.
But also,
in
like,
this.
Rima, I don't know if you've met many Germans, especially parliamentarians. I mean, like, the fact that I was crying to begin with was probably like very confusing to them because they don't know what to do with that. But also because they thought I was crying.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I thought it was so funny.
When
I found out later that there was this whole situation because Alona came to me and told me, I was like,
you've affected change without trying, which I think is great because you know how hard it is to do it. Like otherwise,
I know I'm gonna do this all the time.
I was gonna say we should all just cry more often. Maybe we'll change more things.
Didn't realize that my personal issues that drove me to run out to the bathroom and cry would change the way that German parliamentarians view Russian propaganda.
I'll take it. A win is a win.
A win is a win.
So if you've watched this far,
please don't forget to like this video, send it to a friend, subscribe, turn on all of your notifications. Also, do leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you please will, we really, really beg you, do subscribe for the membership. It is, I believe, $5.99 a month, and there is a cheaper option. And it helps us so much to be able to afford to continue bringing this podcast to your TV and computer screens, or maybe iPhones or Androids. How was your week?
Oh my God. Actually, it's just been like a few months. Like, I mean, I can't really like say a week. It's like a lot of busyness, you know, going on like between like dealing with some stuff back home and like having to like, you know, it's hard when, you know, you can't show up for like, or things that you need to do that involve like notarizing documents. Like you have to, you know, there's this whole process.
Nonsense.
Yes. Nonsense. Yes, absolutely. Great Ukrainian designer, by the way.
Yeah. This is a brand, right?
I believe so.
I love the nonsense bit.
So it's been a crazy couple of months. This rotation has been a lot of like training for incoming soldiers and stuff like that. And like, it's, you know, when you have to train in several different languages because they're foreigners, like it's really hard because like, you know, our base language for us is obviously English, but hello, you know, like, so most of these recruits could not speak English. So like, that's, you know, like that's like the hard part of trying, and it's multiple languages. Sometimes it feels like I'm literally teaching tactical medicine to the United Nations of soldiers, because it's literally like, and then the simultaneous translation is my favorite because you start with the one language, then you go to the next one, then you have to have the third one. It's like, and by the time we're done explaining like one or two sentences, it's like 15 minutes later.
Someone needs to gift you AirPods Pro 3 because they have direct translation.
Oh my God, that'd be incredible if that. first of all. That would probably be like the nicest like ever. But like, yeah, that would be really cool.
Let me look up how much.
So well, that would also involve me needing an iPhone because I have Android.
No,
but
you can use.
Oh, can you? That's even cooler. So that was maybe the greatest challenge, and just also like the sheer number of that you have to train for. Like, they need to at least know how to use everything that's in their IFAC.
They're $250. It's less than I thought.
That's not bad.
So yes, if someone wants to gift Rima AirPods Pro 3 for $249 USA, please do, so she can understand her foreign soldiers, who currently speak 3 different languages that she does not speak.
It's not the first time either that I've had to do that. Like, even before I enlisted and I was teaching at the school, like, we had all like several. There was one class where, like, again, we had 3 to 4 different languages, and like you'd have to wait like. Before you would translate a whole section, it would take like 45 minutes to like translate and get it done, and then we have to do the practical portion. So like, but I must teach people how to use their IFACs. That is a very important thing. So like for me, like teaching level 1 tactical medicine plus a little bit extra because they need to learn how to use everything in their IFAC.
Speaking of IFACs, I will interrupt you for 1 second, Nazar, to your right, there is a pink thing. Can you throw it?
Yes.
Can you throw it to me? Get yourself a combat medic friend who is going to get you a pink tourniquet with hearts so that you can die in style.
Not die. These are supposed to save your
that
lives.
You can lose limbs in style.
Not lose limbs either. No. So first.
So that you cannot bleed out in style.
Thank you. That's the right one. Okay. First of all, I would love to applaud Seach for this brilliant idea of creating something that is eye-catching, also educational. They are now available on their website. Seach is a reliable tourniquet. You know, it's been used before in the stab points. They've been around since 2016, but it's a great way for, you know, making tourniquets accessible to civilians, but also putting it in such a design that, like, okay, that's cute. You know what I mean? But yes, you will, you want to learn how to use it.
You know what's funny? Like because this is not an ad at all.
No, but, not even a little bit.
Yeah, but like when you went to that event at Courage to like the Seach tourniquets, because I'm assuming you were invited to this event, right?
I was not, but I went anyway just because I saw those, and I was like,
so I saw these online and I wanted to send them to you, but then ADHD and I forgot because I got tangled up in other stuff, and I was like, then you told me you were at Courage, and I was like, oh my god, I hope she sees these.
Oh yeah.
And then I got distracted by something else, and obviously I didn't tell you. So like, and then you brought me this as a gift, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, hilarious. It was just like nice to be here, like in time to get to this event, because I had seen like Seach advertising them, and I was like, holy crap, that is a very pink tourniquet.
Come into my car with me. Naturally,
being a pink lover, you know, and not just despite my very like alt gothy kind of like appearance, I do really love bright pink things. And this in particular, and they also make just like non-heart printed hot pink tourniquets as well. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I loved the idea that Seach was trying to bring a product to the market that is helpful to also be attractive to civilians to carry a tourniquet. Because guess what? Reality in Ukraine is that Russia will bomb anything. They don't care if it's a military target or not. They will pretend it's a military target, but it most of the time isn't. And so many people need to carry first aid or life-saving supplies like a tourniquet. Even if they don't carry a full IFAC, which, by the way, I have written a blog post on what civilians should carry in their IFACs. So that's one thing you can take a look at on my Buy Me a Coffee. That is there, as well as what should be in an IFAC, what is an IFAC, individual first aid kit. But in general, this was a wonderful idea. And I figured if I thought this was adorable, I knew other people would love this as well. And then at the event, they were demonstrating how to use it on leg trainers, or like wound models of a leg. And like, you know, the only thing I will say, and I've said this to Seach as well, is that it is more difficult for self-application on the arm with these tourniquets because of the buckle. I will always recommend CAT tourniquets first, because CAT is the standard, and it's also a different system. The well is easier to get the rod into. I think with some maybe some changes or something that's like better for the arm, it would be a good tourniquet. But in general, this is a reliable tourniquet. However, I will always recommend Cat 7 first by North American Rescue. However, these are more accessible for civilians. So in general, I love this. And I like, every time I look at it, I smile, which is, you gotta smile about something. Anyway, it was a great project by Siege. It was very fun to check it out.
For those of you who are listening and not watching, me and Rima have been discussing this pink tourniquet from Siege that she has gotten me at an event this entire time. So if you, if we haven't really said it enough times, it's a bright pink tourniquet with hearts all over it, and it's gorgeous.
But yeah, so like a lot of training, a lot of stuff going on. In addition to training all these soldiers, I also was doing with one of the other members of my unit primary care. So, we were base medics, and that involved a lot of like bumps, scrapes, like the usual headaches, colds, whatever. And I got sick twice. First it was COVID. That really sucked. And then I got this horrific cold and sinus infection, and I was on antibiotics again. So I'm just getting over that, which is, I think I finally sound normal for the first time in 2 weeks. But like,
oh yeah, I mean, you were going through the motions there a little bit.
Oh, I had no voice. I lost my voice, actually. It was pretty bad. But yeah, primary care has always like been something that, is necessary, and like there aren't always medics available for that. So I was glad that like we could do that. There's, it's not just like for us here in Ukraine as well. Military medics aren't just dealing with trauma. Sometimes it is just primary care stuff. The bug bites, the rashes, the cuts, scrapes, whatever, like the headaches, the stomach problems, all that stuff, and especially when your camps don't always have running water or access to clean water, technical water, that makes it a lot harder, a lot more germs, a lot of other stuff. One of the things that did bother me though, while I was, so like the second base camp, our primary job, myself and the other member of our unit, was to just teach. And that's fine. What I didn't like, was that there was a doctor that was there that was not very kind to the foreign soldiers that had come in, because they don't speak English and they don't speak Ukrainian, and so for whatever reason he decided to be particularly incredibly rude one day to a soldier that was just asking for medication. Nothing else, and he was sick. It wasn't like he was, a frequent flyer that was like, being annoying. This guy was actually sick. And I proceeded to watch this doctor basically tell this guy to buzz off in a much more rude way of saying it in Ukrainian. And the problem is that, like, maybe because I'm American, they don't realize that I understand what they're saying most of the time, because I've lived in this country for a long time now. And he refused to translate to this man, into his language with his phone, because guess what? We have Google Translate on our phones. We can absolutely translate and say, hey, this is... He refused to translate to him to come back at a different hour when the ambulance would be dispensing medication. I was in shock because...
Furious.
I couldn't... My family were refugees from Lithuania during World War II. And so they went to the US, where they were discriminated against because of their inability to speak English and their accents. And my grandmother would comment on that frequently, because it was hard for her to get a job. It was hard for her to do a lot of things because she was a foreigner. And at the time in America, in the 50s and 60s, they were not very kind to foreigners. And I remember that distinctly hurting my grandmother. And so I always promised myself I would never be like that. And I would never be like one of those people that's like, you better learn English if you're going to live in this country. That's not me. I was never going to do that. I was never going to do that to anyone. And so like all of that just kind of like bubbled up as I'm watching this doctor be rude to this man for no reason. His crime was asking for medication. And so I walk outside with my phone. I translate into his language and say, hey, come back at this hour when the ambulance is dispensing medication. I walk back inside and I am just losing it at this doctor. I'm screaming. I'm like, it is not this man's fault that he does not speak your language. You do not get to treat him like shit because he doesn't speak your language. it is still your job to treat him like a human being. And I looked at him and I repeated what he had said in Ukrainian. I said, what is wrong with you for saying this to this person?
Yeah.
And the only thing he had to say for himself was, it's not like he understood what I said anyway.
Oh. Oh, so I can just tell you to go fuck yourself and that you're a piece of shit that shouldn't walk this earth. But that's okay because you didn't understand me.
Exactly. And I thought to myself,
what?
These soldiers are coming in to fight for,
you.
Yeah. And you're going to make disparaging comments, be rude. And I watched him be rude for weeks. And I was just like, I don't understand this behavior. I do not understand. Nobody, and here's what I'm trying to get at. Nobody has to grovel at anyone coming in here to volunteer. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is our job as medical professionals is to treat every person like they are a human being.
Yeah.
They don't get to be mistreated because you don't like the fact that they don't speak your language.
What is it? The Hippocratic vow?
The Hippocratic Oath.
The Hippocratic Oath, yeah. Because in Ukrainian it's klятва Hippokrata, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, and for me especially, like, do no harm, that's, and I take that very seriously. And like, we are supposed to be the kind of, people that take care of everyone. He straightened his act out, but I don't think it was because he actually wanted to. I think it was just because he knew he had to at this point. But I just thought, like, these guys are getting, and they started coming to me, for medical treatment, and my other member of my unit, like, for medical treatment, because they felt more comfortable. Especially as medical professionals, we owe them a little bit of, reverence to at least make sure they're healthy before they go out to the front line. It was a really hard thing for me to watch. I was like, just watching that kind of like mistreatment, racism, that kind of stuff. It's not okay.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see it in my own backyard. And like, it's so the other members of our like squadron and other people from different squadrons have never heard me yell at anyone before. And they were like, no, they've never heard me yell ever. And they're like,
I haven't met feisty Remo.
No, because I've never had to do that. Like, I will always advocate for my patients. Even if they're not my patients, I will always advocate for those who are seeking medical attention, because our job is to advocate and for them and their health and their, livelihood and everything. So like, I will mama bear this shit like you will not believe, because they need help, and that's what we're supposed to do, if we're medics and doctors and whatever. And so we're supposed to help them. And so like, I'm going to fight for my patient, your patient, whoever, if they need something. And so like, the guys are like, we were ready to like fight. Like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm really angry right now. Like, and that was just, and then I explained to them what happened, and they're like, we really appreciate that you stood up for that person. Like, that was really cool of you. I'm like, why is it okay? But why is it cool? Because you do something that you should do for other human beings anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's also his job, literally.
Yeah. Like I understood what they were saying. I think they just didn't expect it to come like, like that, like from a tiny person like me who's like just screaming.
I mean, listen, I'm always in that predicament where like I'm this short human being, but like I'm small but mighty.
Well, and like they're just like, you, but you're human sunshine. Like, how could you be angry? And I'm like, I am very angry right now because I'm watching someone be marginalized and they shouldn't be. And it's just, it really, really from the like very bottom of my soul just like pulled up this intense rage. I'm still angry about it, and I was fuming for days. Over this, and I went to like talk to different people and like make myself understood that like this is not okay, and like stuff like that. And I think that's also maybe why things took a little bit of an improvement turn. But like in general, I don't ever want to like see anyone mistreat anyone coming into this place, like, or anyone in general. If it had happened to a Ukrainian, if the situation was reversed, I would have done the same thing.
Of course.
Like, because it's about the person. That was one of my more difficult moments. And I was also incredibly tired. And again, no running water. So like, no shower for at least a week, like whatever. And like, you know, we get to shower once a week when we go into town, and no real sleep because we're sleeping in tents, and like there's mosquitoes everywhere. So I'm covered in bug bites. So I'm just angry. Like I'm just angry. Like at this point, I'm eating like once a day. Like, you know, like I'm angry. Like, remember like how you were like, Rima, I brought you a ton of Haribos. I'm like, perfect, because I live on that when I'm like working on rotation, because sometimes we just get to eat once a day and I need sugar and carbs. But like, I was angry. Like there were many factors where I was just like blind rage, and just like that just kicked it up 10 notches. Absolutely. No.
Oh, I can imagine. I myself am trying to stay away from sugar and carbs because, as you might know, I bought a scale, like a measuring scale, I suppose, like a weighing scale. Yeah. Because my dogs, one is underweight and one is overweight, and so I need to weigh them. And I decided to weigh myself. And I've discovered that I have gained a third of my body mass on top of my body mass since I was like happy with where I was at. And that kind of Nazar's face just killed me. I don't know if he heard what I said, but his face was like, I'm just gonna
I mean, it could all, Cindy's right behind me. It could also be her fartsies too.
Well, whatever it was. So I have been going through like a life crisis. So first, I don't even know. Okay. I was just looking at Instagram for two things. One, my potential therapist responded. So yay to that. Yay. I might have a therapist next week.
Yay to therapy.
Two,
we love therapy.
I saw that Russian drones potentially unidentified UAVs entered Denmark's and Norway's airspace.
And a couple of other, like, which airports did they shut down yesterday?
No, not yesterday. Not freaking yesterday.
Sorry.
3 days ago.
3 days ago.
3 days ago. There was a cyber attack on Berlin Airport.
Oh,
Guess
yes.
who was losing their shit and bawling their eyes out and rethinking their entire life trajectory during that at a Berlin airport? Me.
But it happened again. It was yesterday. It was also Denmark and one other airport. So it happened again. Like
Copenhagen Airport.
Copenhagen.
So
Thank you.
Yes. But so point is, I was at Berlin Airport, not knowing that there is currently a Russian cyber attack in progress. So my gate changed a couple of times. We were stuck on the tarmac for 2 hours. I also got to the airport 4 hours early while I was having a personal crisis. So I had like 4 hours with me, myself, and I, and no escape to sit in front of the airport, smoke my vape, and go through the motions, which was actually very helpful for me,
because you're sitting with your own thoughts.
Yeah, because I figured out that I have no dreams, which is like a problem because when I was like leaving the US, it's a conversation for another episode of the podcast, but long story short, when I was living in the US, I had a dream and I had a planned trajectory of where my life is going to go. And I have been living in this waiting room of when the war is over, I'm going to figure out where I want to move, as in like in life, which direction and when and where, as in a place, whatever. And I figured out that I don't know what the hell it is that I want from my life, right? Because my life had like, I don't know. I moved here with no plan, no expectations, and kind of like in this like waiting period, right? But I also realized that I have serious body image issues, and they're affecting most of the things in my life because we're not going there right now, but that's kind of what I realized in the 4 hours at the Berlin airport. And later I realized that there is a massive cyber attack, and the next day they actually shut down the Berlin airport. But that was okay because I was long gone by then. But this entire trip from Germany in general may have come back was a very big, it was like a clusterfuck of conundrums. Because first, there was a cyber attack on the airport. Then we were stuck on the tarmac for an hour and a half. Then we got to Warsaw, and we got to our hotel that we booked a week before when we were staying there. We get there, and they're like, oh, we're so sorry. We sent you a confirmation email for your reservation because we're very busy tonight, and you didn't respond to it. So we actually canceled your reservation. We were fully booked. But I was in the air at that time, so I couldn't confirm it. So we had to find a last-minute hotel, and we found it. And it was actually almost in the same price category, and it was beautiful. But we were like, okay, fine, good things, right? And then we left, and we were going to Ravaruska, the border, because that's easier to go to Lviv to pick up my dogs and switch cars, because I took my aunt's car out of the country. Anyways, I have red tail lights, like red blinkers, like the United States, and those are forbidden in Europe, so I can't drive my car.
Understood.
Anyways, so we're going to Ravaruska, and in the middle of our drive to Ravaruska, Waze is like, hey, we found a better route, because I put Lviv as the destination, not Ravaruska. And we're like, sure, let's do it. So it finds a better route. And it reroutes us, which we think it just reroutes us to Ravaruska. No, the fuck not. We get to the border and there is a massive line. And my mom is like, hey, check what's going on in Hrushiv, another border crossing point. Maybe you should like drive there. And I'm like, Mom, it's an hour away. I don't think we should do that. And she's like, just check. And guess what? I check Hrushiv and we are at Hrushiv.
Oh no.
Which is why it took us an extra hour to get to the border to begin with. So we stood at the border for 2 hours and then we finally got in. And some lady in front of us was trying to pull off some border crossing scheme.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So we were stuck behind her while the customs people were trying to figure out what it is that they can do with her and how to like figure this out. So then we got to Lviv, we got the dogs, it was already 8 p.m. and we decided, me and Alona, that we are driving to Kyiv and that we're going to get to Kyiv during curfew. We have stamps from the border and they should let us in. We get to the block post and this guy had a really bad day and he was like, turn around and go wait till 5 a.m. It was 3:30. Until we can let you in. But then another guy was like, listen, here's a loophole. You can go this route, and then you can just get to Kyiv without any block posts. And we were like, thank you. Mm-hmm. So anyways, we got home and we fell asleep. So this was my journey from Germany. And then the next day I found out that I was actually at the airport during a Russian cyber attack. And then today I saw that there was this situation in Norway where they literally took down Russian UAVs. And that is like, brings me to the point of this entire week. I've watched Poland get attacked. I've watched Romania get attacked. And everyone, Lithuania, it was Estonia.
Yes.
And everyone keeps sending Russia these like words of strong messaging.
Oh, it's the thoughts and prayers attack that doesn't work.
But dude, Norway and Denmark.
I know.
At this point, there is also Norway and Denmark.
I know.
There are Russian UAVs in Norway and Denmark's airspace. That is wild. Absolutely bollocks insane.
It's hard to like comment on this without wondering if anyone is really ever, nobody has any teeth.
You know who had teeth? Radoslav Sikorski is a Polish foreign minister, and he just told Russia off in a way I've never heard anyone tell Russia off.
It was very well done.
To the representatives of Russia, I have this to say. We know you don't care for international law and you are incapable of living in peace with your neighbors. Your insane nationalism contains a lust for domination that will not cease until you realize that the age of empires is over and that your empire will not be rebuilt. Every drone strike by the heroes of the armed forces of Ukraine, may God bless them, brings this day closer. Your 3-day special military operation can't even conquer Donbass for 10 years now. But the potential for criminal, catastrophic Russian mistakes is still there. By ordering mobilization in 1914, you precipitated the start of World War I, which bled Europe white and led to your Bolshevik Revolution. By signing the Hitler-Stalin Pact, you helped launch World War II, the bloodiest in history. By Sovietizing Central Europe, you caused the Cold War. Don't start another one. We are peaceful democracies who have studiously avoided actively joining your attempt to reconquer Ukraine. But we will not be intimidated. I have only one request to the Russian government. If another missile or aircraft enters our space without permission, deliberately or by mistake, and gets shot down and the wreckage falls on NATO territory, please don't come here to whine about it. You have been warned.
This is what I wish people with big guns, and by that I mean like, Germany, France, the UK, like the countries that Russia takes seriously, because obviously they don't take Poland seriously. I wish those countries were saying that.
Oh, yeah.
This was a verbal beating that Russia needs.
Oh, for sure. But again, it's just another verbal beating, right? Like, at least he did it, and I appreciate it a lot. I have concerns about the fact that, like, everyone's just kind of in this, like, holding pattern. Like, I remember when it wasn't the first time that Russia had, done something stupid in Polish airspace, and it landed on, like, a farmer's land or whatever. And everybody was like, chill, Poland. It was probably just an accident. Don't worry about it. Like, just don't even, like, because they wanted to avoid, World War III. Well, now it's incursions in several countries.
Well, but the thing is, you're not going to avoid World War III by letting Russia think it can do what it wants to do. You're
completely
actually
agree.
Directly pushing it.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying that, like, it's interesting that now we have incursions in several countries, and we still have a lot of silence.
Oh, we're going to continue having a lot of silence.
Yeah.
It's because everyone is, like, still in denial and is trying to pretend like this is not going to go the way that everyone knows.
No,
it's
of
gonna
course.
go.
If we pretend like we didn't see it, it can't be there, right?
If you ignore it, it's going to go away.
Yeah, exactly. If we ignore it, it'll go away.
But it's not going to go away.
No, it never does. It hasn't in 4 years. Actually, sorry, in 11 years.
Yep. In 11 years. It's been 11 years.
11 years.
11 years. Damn it.
Yep.
I really hope that, I know that we say this all the time, and I have to say it at work, like, all the time, right? But I, like, really, really, really hope that at this point, Europe gets its shit together. I'm happy that Poland triggered Article 4 and Estonia did. I'm very unhappy that the Baltic, the rest of the Baltics are kind of taking it as, like, non-threat. Because I've heard from my Lithuanian friends that they're just kind of like, yeah, Lithuania is just sort of, like, doesn't see a big issue in this. And I'm like...
but they're, like... They're beefing up their borders with Belarus and other countries.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing stuff, but it's not like, I think, to not alarm the people.
Yeah.
You never really know, like, what they're doing totally. But, like, I
That's
agree.
true.
I agree. Like, I know, like, the defense, like, ministry and a great person to look at is tweets from Gabrielius Landsbergis. He does a lot of...
I've talked to him before.
He's a great...
He's awesome. Okay, so he's Metro Kuleba of Lithuania.
Pretty much.
Okay, and I fucking love that guy.
Yeah.
I really hope that he doesn't see this, because it's just like, it's like a weird thing to say about someone you've actually
Lithuanian.
spoken
It's not
to.
that weird. I think he's great and how outspoken he is. But
he's great. And I actually, before I started the interview with him for work, I literally was like, I love you. Like, you are great.
Hey, listen, I went to go see Mr. Kuleba speak at an event, and I don't, understand enough Ukrainian, but I was still, like, just to be in, like, the same room, I was like, it's in the presence of greatness. But that's...
Yeah.
How do you tell the political scientist in the room, right? I'm sitting here, and I'm, like, going back to my degrees in political science. I'm like, this. But, like, I completely understand that.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Metro Kuleba. Same way.
Yeah. I absolutely love Landsbergis. I think he's, like, the best.
He's so cool.
I so fangirl.
Yeah, I pretty much, like, I subscribe to notifications for all his tweets just so I can, like, watch his outspokenness.
I don't fangirl about celebrities. I fangirl about political figures. I feel, speaking of political figures, I think this is like to describe how my week has been going, and how both of our weeks have been going, to conclude this conversation today, right? I feel about the same way as Macron felt in New York when he couldn't get to the French embassy because
cock blocked
because everything was frozen shut and still because Trump was coming. And like his motorcade was coming.
God,
and when he
video
came up to the
else.
cop to be like, hey, I'm the French president. This is the French embassy. He was like, I'm sorry, Mr. President, but our president is coming. And Macron had to call Trump and be like, hi.
Can you let me through?
They've frozen everything for you. This is pretty much like the amount of just like WTF that I'm experiencing this week.
There's just a lot of that going around right now. Like, I feel like we live in a constant state of WTF, to be honest.
Well, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, and I'm hoping you did, please don't forget to do all the things. And by that, I mean like this episode, share it, also subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications. And of course, do leave comments with what you would like to share, because we read all of them, and I honestly, I think they're so awesome. Like, I love reading your responses. And also, we do have a membership tab, and it helps us greatly to be able to pay our Labubu characters.
We are balling on a budget. What she's trying to say is help us ball harder on said budget.
Thanks.